Welcome to this week's People at Work podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Dundas, and I'm speaking with OV consultant Dr. Susie Kamen about how to provide effective feedback in the workplace. Susie, welcome.
Hi, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk feedback. Why is it important?
Well, simply put, people want to know what they're doing, how they're doing well, and where they need to improve. Uncertainty just doesn't feel good, especially in a work environment where so much is riding on your performance.
What's unique about feedback in the workplace?
Well, when we talk about feedback at work, we typically are talking about a manager communicating to a direct report about their performance. And there's inherently a power dynamic at play. But it's important to remember that, as with all relationships, to be successful, it needs to be a two-way dialogue that's built on trust and respect. If we believe that our manager understands us and respects us, we're more likely to be open to feedback, including the negative feedback.
Can you share with us some tips for delivering effective feedback?
Sure. There's a few things. First, too many organizations rely primarily on formal feedback discussions that occur at structured times like December, tying the review to an end-of-year bonus. And this can create a feeling of dread. It's almost like getting your final grade. And managers often don't like it because they're worried that giving the tough feedback may damage a relationship. But avoidance can spiral into bigger problems or ongoing problems. And so organizations need to work feedback into the regular cadence of work so that there's no pent-up frustrations or end-of-year surprises. Secondly, it's really important to take the time to have an authentic interest in each member of a team. You need to know who they are and understand their specific situations and their interests and motivations. Lastly, you want to avoid feedback sandwiches where you slip in something critical between two positives. When you communicate feedback this way, people tend to really hear the negative and forget the positive. And they also get used to that, rendering the positive feedback meaningless. If the feedback is critical, it's important to deliver it straight up and make sure you're giving them concrete steps to improve.
I want to talk for a moment about virtual feedback. Clearly, a lot more people are working remotely for the foreseeable future. What do managers need to know about delivering feedback to remote workers?
Yeah, there definitely are a lot of unique challenges these days. And it's likely easier with people who have had long-standing relationships with their manager or their employees. But regardless, it's critical to make sure that everyone has regular and frequent one-on-one meetings to check in. Letting people know that you're available outside of these meetings as well. For relatively new employees, it may be useful to set up a buddy or a mentor for them to go to as an additional resource.
So what's your feelings on the video call? Should feedback meetings be held on video, on or off camera?
That's a great question. Some research shows that including video helps to build the connections between people. But interesting, there's also been some studies that have shown people actually do a better job interpreting the messages they hear when they listen to the message without seeing the person talking. So I think what's most important is to consider the employee's preference. Some introverts may find video calls exhausting and would prefer to just use audio, where others really like having being able to see the nonverbal cues and making eye contact with the person they're talking with. Ultimately, it should always be the employee's decision and not the manager's.
Thanks, Susie. This has been incredibly helpful. If you want to learn more, Susie will be presenting on this topic at our upcoming fall conference in September. You can find details about the conference, as well as about all of our feedback platforms, online at orgvitality.com.